Nobody expected the janitor to sound like this. Irish talent show crowd in tears. The rain had been falling all morning in Dublin, a gentle mist that seemed to wash the grey off the cobblestone streets. Inside the grand auditorium of Ireland's Got Talent, hundreds of people buzzed with excitement. Bright lights flickered, cameras rolled, and hopeful singers lined up backstage, each clutching dreams of fame. But one man, standing quietly near a mop bucket, wasn't here to perform, at least not according to anyone else. His name was Patrick O'Sullivan, a 58-year-old janitor with silver streaks in his hair and eyes that carried years of quiet stories. Most people barely noticed him. To the contestants, he was just the old guy who cleans up after us. Patrick didn't mind. Every night, he swept floors, emptied bins, and wiped mirrors. He'd hum softly as he worked, an old Elvis tune here, a bit of Roy Orbison there. But no one ever really listened. Until one night, during auditions, a young contestant named Megan forgot her lyrics mid-performance and fled the stage in tears. The judges called for a break, and the crowd murmured impatiently. That's when Patrick, pushing his mop across the stage to clean up a spilled drink, softly began to sing under his breath, just to calm the tense silence. At first, no one paid attention. But then Simon Cowell, visiting as a guest judge, raised his head. "Wait, who's singing?" he asked. Patrick froze, his face flushing. "Oh, sorry, sir, just cleaning up the stage," he stammered. But Simon leaned forward. No, keep going." The crowd hushed. The cameras turned. Patrick, still gripping his mop, hesitated. "I'm not a contestant. I'm just the janitor," he said nervously. The head producer whispered, "Let him sing." Patrick took a deep breath. He set the mop aside and stepped toward the center of the stage, still in his faded overalls. He closed his eyes, and in that instant, the world seemed to fall silent. Then he sang. His voice, rich, soulful, trembling with emotion, filled the auditorium like sunlight breaking through clouds. He began with "Can't Help Falling in Love" by Elvis Presley. The notes floated through the air, gentle yet powerful, soaked in a kind of raw honesty that only comes from a lifetime of pain and love. By the second verse, you could see the tears in the audience. Even Simon's usual stern face softened. The woman judge covered her mouth. Megan, the young contestant who had run off earlier, reappeared backstage, eyes wide. When Patrick finished, there was a pause, a sacred kind of silence that hangs in the air before something unforgettable. Then the crowd rose to its feet. A thunder of applause filled the hall. People were crying, clapping, shouting his name. Patrick stood there in disbelief. For a moment, the janitor everyone ignored was the brightest star in the room. Simon finally spoke. His voice was low but full of emotion. "Patrick. Where have you been hiding this voice all your life?" Patrick smiled shyly. "Mostly behind a mop, sir. Used to sing with my wife before she got sick. After she passed, I just stopped." His voice cracked. Music didn't feel the same without her. A hush fell again. Simon leaned forward. "She'd be proud of you tonight." Tears shimmered in Patrick's eyes. "I like to think she was listening." The next morning, the clip of his performance went viral. The headline read, "Irish Janitor Brings the World to Tears." Millions watched as this humble man reminded everyone what real beauty sounded like, unpolished, untrained, but true. He was invited to perform in the semi-finals, not because he sought fame, but because the world needed to hear something pure again. And when he returned to that same stage weeks later, he didn't come alone. Megan, the young girl he had comforted that night, asked if she could sing with him. "You helped me find courage," she told him. Together, they performed "You'll Never Walk Alone." Patrick's deep, steady voice blended with her trembling one, creating a sound that felt like hope itself. The audience wept openly. When the final note faded, Patrick looked out at the standing ovation and whispered, "Thank you," as though he were speaking to his late wife in the heavens above. He didn't win the competition, but something far greater happened. Letters flooded in from across the world. People said his song helped them through grief, loneliness, even suicide. His story reminded them that no one is ever just anything, not just a janitor, not just a worker, not just someone forgotten. Weeks later, when a journalist asked him what he planned to do next, Patrick smiled softly. "Keep cleaning, I suppose," he said. "But maybe now, I'll sing while I do." And so, every evening at the Dublin Theatre, long after the crowds left and the lights dimmed, the night air would fill with a familiar tune. It wasn't for fame or applause. It was for love, for memory, and for the quiet reminder that greatness often hides in the humblest hearts. Because sometimes, the voice that moves the world doesn't come from the stage, it comes from the man sweeping it.